When working with sharp objects, such as metals, shavings and glass, the hands are exposed to a particularly high risk of injury. Uvex cut protection safety gloves provide reliable protection for your hands when engaged in such activities. In Europe, the standard EN 388-2003 is used to regulate protection classes of cut protection safety gloves. To achieve a high level of cut protection, several technical materials, known as high-performance fibers, are used to manufacture these products. The process of constantly further developing materials requires testing procedures and classifications to also be adapted. With this in mind, the test method under ISO 13997 is to be integrated into the EN 388 standard. This may leave you asking, how is the cut resistance of safety gloves tested in accordance with EN 388 and ISO 13997? And what should I take into account when selecting appropriate cut protection safety gloves in the future? First, let's ask Uvex specialists to explain the two standards, their respective testing methods, and their resultant protection classification systems.
EN 388-2003, the standard for protective gloves against mechanical risks, sets out 4 test criteria. In addition to the resistance against abrasions, tears and punctures, the glove's cut protection features are especially significant. The pictogram for the EN 388 standard is used to identify the performance level achieved. The second number representing cut resistance defines the performance level on a scale from 0 to 5, with 5 being the highest protection rating.
In this test method, a rotating circular knife is constantly moving to and fro with a defined force at 5 newtons on the test object until the blade breaks through the material. Multiple test cycles are carried out in order to measure how many rotations are required in order to cut the test object. The sharpness of the blade is measured against a reference material, cotton, at both the beginning and end of the test. This allows the wear and tear to which the blade is subjected to be determined and factored into the end result. The result is displayed as an index value. This index value is calculated firstly from the cycle count required to cut through the test product, and secondly by ascertaining the degree of wear and tear on the blade. The index value can be divided into 5 performance levels. To determine the performance class in accordance with EN 388-2003, 5 measurements are carried out per test object. The 5 index values are added together and an average taken, which provides the corresponding performance class for the cut protection function of a safety glove.
This is how EN 388-2003 measures the resistance of a safety glove against a sharp-edged object when subject to constant pressure with repeated contact. This means that EN 388 is a particularly suitable test standard for safety gloves used in areas of application with sharp and relatively lightweight objects.
The revision to EN 388 now brings ISO 13997 into the equation. The result is an extension of the testing method. The changes in the new EN 388 standard are above all applicable to cut protection safety gloves, which are made from materials designed to have a blunting effect on the blades currently used, for example by way of glass and steel fibers.
Under the testing method, in accordance with ISO 13997, a sharp-edged object is used to determine the durability of the safety glove by subjecting the test object to great force in a single contact. For this, a long straight blade is passed over the test product once. In each additional test run, the blade is passed over the material more vigorously with a force of between 2 and 30 newtons. This enables the minimum force required to cut the test product over a distance of 20 millimeters to be ascertained.
The result of the ISO 13997 test method is expressed in newtons. On the basis of this, the safety glove can be assigned to one of 6 cut protection classes between A and F. This test method allows for a more accurate statement of a protective glove's cut resistance. This applies not only to work with varying force impacts, but also to sudden, one-off dangers.
To summarize, the key differences between the two test methods are the blade shape, round versus straight, the cut type, rotating with repeated contact versus single contact straight cut, the force expended, constant level at 5 newtons versus a variable level between 2 and 30 newtons. The result is two different classifications of performance levels, namely a figure-based system with ratings between 0 and 5 in the case of EN388 test method, and a 6-letter system between A and F in the case of ISO 13997, the latter of which differentiates the cut performance slightly more. The two systems offer differing assertions with regard to a glove's protective function in relation to the duration and type of cutting force.
The conventional test method and classification in accordance with EN388 is important for hand protection products in areas of application which feature sharp, relatively lightweight objects.
On the other hand, ISO 13997 provides a more detailed picture of a glove's cut resistance during work with heavier objects, greater force and impact-based dangers. ISO 13997 is far more meaningful, in particular with regard to gloves made from high-quality materials such as glass and steel fibers, and with a very high cut protection level. The standard now applies across Europe.
Yet it is very important to note that on account of the clear differences in test method and the classification, it is not possible to effectively compare the two standards. Performing well in one test method does not necessarily mean that a high performance level can be guaranteed in the other.
Returning to our other key question, what do I need to take into account in future when choosing the appropriate cut protection safety gloves? The new standard EN388 is expected to be published in autumn 2016. All products will continue to be assigned the same performance level. All pre-existing EN388 certifications will remain valid until recertification becomes necessary. Ask your safety glove supplier for more information regarding cut protection classification under EN388 and ISO 13997. The correct selection is still dependent on the exact use and cut protection risk in practical real-life situations.
Once the new EN388 has been published and is in effect, Uvex will provide compliance information for both standards for all of its cut protection safety gloves.
This will allow you to immediately identify the safety glove best suited to your individual needs, ensuring your hands are optimally protected.